Councillor Stewart, could you pay attention, please?
Sorry.
Gee, tough.
No, I was actually going to press the button. So we're right, we're live zooming. We don't know whether Councillor Brown is, it's about 9 o'clock at night, so he might have gone to sleep or gone to bed, but we'll catch up with him. We've the first item on the agenda is apologies. We've got one from Claire St. Pierre. Could I have someone to move and second it? Councillor Brown, Councillor Cole, seconded. All in favour, please say aye. Against? Passed. Right. Late disclosure of members' interests. Has everyone had nothing? No one's got anything to declare, so we can move on to confirmation or late items. Has anyone got any late items? Right, the next tab is, which is 5, confirmation of the minutes. Order of minutes, sorry. Oh, confirmation of the order of meeting.
Yeah, there should be no need to change that. It was certainly not at this stage.
Okay. Mayor O'Regan and Councillor Gordon, all in favour, please say aye. Contrary, carried. Welcome, Andrew. Good to see you at 9:01 actually, so you're doing well.
Thanks for that. I had a little bit of technical trouble, but I'm all good now.
Right, we're on to the Finance and Corporate open minutes of the 18th of April. If we run through them from, let's just get the right things right first. Just for correctness, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Has anyone got anything they want to be brought up? Okay, we've got a recommendation that the open minutes of the Finance and Corporate Committee meeting held on the 18th of April 2023, having been circulated, be taken as read and confirmed as a true and correct record of that meeting. Councillor Gower and Councillor Pettit, all those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried, thank you. Right, now, I'm going backwards. We've got the next agenda item is finance report for the period ending 30th of April. Is Nada? Oh, thank you, Nada. Yolanda, do you want to? If you want to, you might need company. So the floor is yours whenever you want to start. Welcome.
Thank you. We have the financial results for 30th of April. The total income is currently 79% of forecast and our operating expenditure is at 82%. Our overall gross revenue from significant activities is at 65% of the forecast and the gross expenditure is at 81%. Most of the activity expenditure results are generally slightly above or below the anticipated 83%. Our capital expenditure, we're at 56% of the forecast, and which was a total of 89.6 million to date. Then we have a balance of 14.5 million in the rates for the current year, and that's after the final instalment that's been billed. That's due for payment on the 22nd of May. And our water rates, we have an outstanding of 1.3 million.
Then we've also redesigned the key risk indicator report. We can take questions. Luckily, we've got Dawn here to assist us with some of the questions that you might have. This was in an attempt to give you some more insight based on the questions that had been asked in previous meetings.
Thank you both. Ken, would you like to comment?
Yeah, so I was just going to say through the chair, so in relation to the redesign of the key risk indicator report, the only thing that's really changed is our reporting of progress on the capital expenditure program. So so we have just basically changed the format of that and I guess just made it a bit more robust in terms of the assessment of what we expect the end of year position to be. And I guess in doing so, what that has confirmed is, there is quite a splash of orange and red in there. So in that regard, yes, certainly Dawn is happy to speak to that, I believe. Actually, what we will do going forward is actually put a section of commentary in the cover report in regard to the CapEx, but we just didn't quite have the time to do that this time around.
Thank you. Yeah, Mike. Yeah.
I really liked that, by the way. There was that's great, splitting out the CapEx into the renewals, level of service, and growth. I thought it added real clarity to that. So that was great. And can I just ask a couple of things on that slide while we're there? That because questions/suggestions as a work in progress going forward. I thought the CapEx bit's excellent. It's also dealing with OpEx. Just on the revenue side, the box on the left, using consents kind of as some kind of proxy for revenue, would that be fair? And is that fair? And is that sort of the best indicator we've got of the variable portion of the revenue coming in?
Look, I think it is, Councillor, through the chair. So, so I guess what this was really picking up on, growth in the district has always been quite a big thing for Waipā. So, so this is actually looking at the building consents and the resource consents coming through, but of course that also translates to another area of revenue, which is our DCs, which is a very important mechanism for growth, paying for growth. So I guess what this is really a picture of is what is actually happening out in the growth community in terms of what resource consents are being signed off, what building consents are being signed off, and I guess what that is designed to detect is if there is any downward trend, which could actually threaten those DCs coming in as well. And in fact, to be fair, that is actually what we have been seeing in the last few months, and in fact we have signalled over the past few months that there is a slowdown of activity in that space.
Yeah, look, I think it's a good proxy of variable revenue going forward. I just wondered if there was room for sort of a line above it with some sort of sense of on track, off track for variable revenue. With that as the evidence beneath it. So that was just one. And the other one I just wanted to talk on was the debt ratio down the bottom, the little dial, actual against debt to revenue, that ratio, that 250% benchmark. Now I notice that's changing month by month, going up. What's that actually tracking? Is that forecast revenue? Is real debt changing as we go through the year, but forecast revenue is not changing? Is that what I'm getting at?
Turn that on. So that is tracking, so when we do have a forecast in the revenue and real debt. Yeah.
So just final suggestion there.
Yeah.
One of the other ratios that we report is the one debt compared to budgeted debt. I just wonder if that would be a slightly better debt metric to appear here, because this is a pretty it's a pretty rough gauge, this one. 250% is a pretty arbitrary figure. It's quite high. And by the time you're beginning to get in trouble with your 250%, you're potentially in quite a bit of trouble. Whereas it's almost a little bit more interesting to know how you're tracking compared to the budgeted debt and sort of a judgment call off track, on track in that space. So I was just those two comments on revenue and net debt. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. You have a
Yeah, thanks, Bruce. I just totally agree with Mike's comments there about, well, everything really. That's all good. I just had a thought though, Ken. While our building consents are definitely down, and I'm not sure whether you're better to answer this or perhaps Dawn, is the delay in in C1, 2 and 3, is that having an impact on our building consents, do you think? That
Yeah, look, I'd so through the chair, I'd be struggling to answer that one, councillor. I don't have good insight into that. Yeah, I think that would probably be almost best to be a question to Wayne Allen in terms of that regulatory space. So I mean, I can certainly pose that to him, and we can come back to you if you'd like that.
yeah, I would actually. I'd be interested in his take on that. Thanks.
Thanks, Andrew. Lou, and then Roger.
Yeah, thank you, through the chair. Just a point of clarification, if I could, please. If we have a look at that key risk indicator, we have a look at the delivery of CapEx program and look at transportation. I just wanted to question level of service. I see that level of service as you go down below on the KPI has a green status where it is only operating at 26% of 80, and it seems to be an error or something incorrect there. You see what I'm talking about?
Through the chair, I can provide some feedback in that one. Our transport team are forecasting quite a significant spend across April, May, June, or particularly May, June, in our level of service projects. So this is particularly sort of urban mobility and the like. We may well find that actually that's not realised, but given the information provided by the team, who are the greatest optimists in the world, that we will build, that's what we're forecasting at the moment. So yeah.
Thank you for that. It's just a clarification. I just saw the figures seem to be anomaly.
Thank you, Roger.
Yes, and this is a point of clarification, perhaps to Ken. When, let's take the example of when we entered into an infrastructure development agreement with 3Ms that includes the DCs versus the development cost. When are the DCs under that agreement recognized as being received?
Ooh. Yeah, so look again. You're really testing me on that one. Yeah, I'd have to come back to you. I mean, it is very specific in terms of the infrastructure agreement is very very specific in terms of when the DCs are payable. I certainly know that. In terms of the recognition of when we actually bring them to account in our financials, look, we'd have to check that and come back to you.
I'm just wondering whether some of that downturn in the DC's receipts are related to those development agreements
Yes.
that we have in place. Which,
Look, it could well be, councillor. Yeah, it could well be. Yeah, we're certainly well behind in terms of DCs. So yeah, so certainly plenty of them being calculated, but we haven't got to the point yet where they're recognised, and that's why you're seeing a gap in the financials. Yeah.
I'd love to.
Okay. Yep. Okay. So we'll take note of that in terms of that and come back. Yeah, in due course.
Oh, you have one more. Yes.
Look, I just wanted to say, congratulate the team on this. I remember when George introduced this and she said it was a work in progress. For me, this is getting better and better and better. And I think it can continue getting better. And I kind of dream of the one pager that governance and punters can look at and get a pretty decent understanding of the financial health of this organisation. And for me, this is probably the document. It's sort of heading in that direction. So yeah, keep up the good work. For me, it's getting better and better. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
I've got only one comment and one question on page 17. We're still outstanding with our rates outstanding, which is a sign of this council for years. So it should come down the next quarter even less, I would presume. And on page 19, the first paragraph, an increase in revenue of 400,000 for the CCTV network. Where did that come from?
That is part of the Better Off funding that we received.
Okay, thank you. Right, any other questions? That's good, no questions. So we've got a recommendation on page 13 that I'll just say A and B and 4 bullet points unless you'd like me to read them all out.
Sorry, Bruce, I do have a question about,
no,
the,
yes, don't wait,
about
wait.
the resolution that you're about to introduce.
Yeah.
Just, this is a philosophical question. Why do you increase a budget which you've already approved when you come across something you don't unexpected? It's a philosophical question. I noticed this has been a placeholder in all our previous finance and corporate meetings. The items haven't come up. I went back and checked. And yeah, so philosophical question, as opposed to going, okay, we had the budget, we're over budget for these reasons.
Yes, so through the chair, I can comment on that. Look, it's actually probably that, to be fair, probably the lingo we're using is not the best. Yeah, we do talk about these being budget changes, but essentially what these are is reforecasts, and I think that is probably a better terminology to use. So you know, we initially budget, and we certainly don't, you know, certainly didn't budget for for these kind of asset write-offs. We didn't include that in the budget. Now we've become aware of them. What we're looking to do is obviously forecast, because a very key part of producing our 4-month report and our 8-month report, of course, is to determine a forecast for year-end position. So now we've become aware of these things, that they're of large magnitude. Essentially, what we're doing is we're reforecasting our end-of-year financial position, and because they're the magnitude that they are, we're building that into the resolution. So it's probably not really a rebudget. That's not a great term, but it is certainly a reforecast of our original budget.
Okay, I see they've already come through in the forecast. That 11 million
Correct.
accounted for.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So therefore, do you even need our approval, or is it just FYI? This is being reforecast.
Yeah, so I guess what this is, and like I say, there are some triggers for what will actually appear here in terms of a funding request or a budget change. These have sort of hit that threshold, but and I guess we are asking you to approve them, because there is that requirement. Yeah, for them to be approved over a certain threshold, and I can't recall the exact thresholds. Over a certain threshold, they are required to be approved by the elected members rather than at the officer level. At lower thresholds, at the officer level, we can just do the reforecast ourselves.
Thank you, Mike. So I'll read that again. We've got the recommendation, page 13, that A, the Finance and Corporate Committee received the report of NADA, Milne, et cetera, and B, there's 4 bullet points. Would someone like to move in second of that? Councillor Gower and Councillor Montgomery, all in favour, please say aye. Aye. Contrary, carried. Thank you, Yolanda and Nada. Thank you very much.
Hey, Bruce, can I just quickly, before we moved on to the next item, we chucked in Claire's apologies. Can we note that that's to attend a ecological corridor meeting? Because remember, we have to get the habit of listing what their absences are for.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's good score. Right, we've got the next item on the agenda is the quarterly property services report, and Mr. Varco is very keen. He's right in the blocks already. So welcome, David. Nice to see you.
Tēnā koutou katoa, Mr. Chairperson, who worship and mayors. I'm here today to present to you the quarterly property services report for January through to March. I will just say, please bear with me being new, as I was not employed during this period, the last 3 weeks of March. So I will endeavour to answer your questions if you have any. And if I don't know the answers, I'll get back to you. I won't read the report in full, but will share with you 4 top things I'd like to share. First being the Cambridge Town Hall Trust. Staff have been working with the Trust in developing their asset management plan, strategic plan and annual statement of intent. This is part of their responsibility with their contract with Council, and they intend to bring this to you in June. They've recently made an appointment of a new general manager, and that's greatly assisting with the process. The next one I'd like to share is the forest harvesting in Pirongia Park, Forest Park. So that was planned and approved in late 21. For various reasons, a decision was taken to be deferred implementation of forest harvest plan until 22-23. Harvest is underway now and is going well. And the next steps, once the harvest is completed, is looking at the future usage of that area. Next one is the lease portfolio. At present, there are 22 agreements being processed. Upon completion, these will be presented to the committee for acceptance and execution. There's been some complexities within these leases, and staff are simplifying these for future ease. Examples of some of those complexities are an historical 21-year term, and we're looking at the 5+5 term that can be easily CPI and market rate adjusted, ensuring land status is correct and council can actually execute a lease instead of having to go to multiple parties if there is multiple land parcels, and that would be example DOC or Crown and anybody else that owns that land. So that's going well. And the last one I've got is 1262 Cambridge Road. In February 2017, the council purchased 3.75 hectares with the intention of developing affordable housing, including housing for the elderly. Since then, council staff have had discussions with Kaianga Ora in relation to them purchasing 1.4 hectares. This would be conditional, of course, over only over 55s being living there. Consultation with local community and mana whenua is required for the sale negotiations. This consultation has taken place and the results are now being collated. There were over 60 submissions received.
So through the chair, just in regard to the last item that David has mentioned, our intention is to bring a report on the outcome of that consultation exercise to council at the end of this month. So I believe that's the 30th of May, 2 weeks' time. Yeah, we intend to have the report on the agenda for that meeting.
Councillor Gordon.
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. Thanks, Dave. Going on to your page 2 of your report, and just a little bit of a point of clarification, if you could, I see that commercial is now commercial properties and non-core commercial properties. And given that the completion is in the first case 3% and in the second case 273%, is this a new separation of commercial properties into more relevant groupings?
Yeah, so through the chair, I'll answer that. Given David's recent arrival, won't want him to have to handle that one. Yeah, no. Look, those are quite long-standing definitional activity areas. Yeah, to be fair, I've always kind of struggled to understand some of the areas of definition between those two. But there's certainly long-standing. It's nothing has changed.
So why the difference in what we've achieved against what we budgeted to achieve?
Look, yeah, so look, again, through the chair, I guess these are very much project specific. So this is income. So this is sale of property, etc. So look, it just very much depends. So I mean, it looks like there were a number of projects in that non-core commercial property side of things, but little in the way of the commercial properties. So yeah, although it won't only be property sales, there'll certainly be lease revenue and stuff as well. So yeah, but I would suggest I think the first one, the properties commercial, I think that largely is about property sales and that space. Yeah, so that's why we're only achieving 3%. We haven't got those property sales over the line at this stage.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, I think the non-core commercial property, probably a lot of that is is around lease income, and certainly there must have been some stuff that's happened in there, and perhaps it is property sales that have pushed that well above expectations. Yeah.
Any other questions? David, I've got one on page 9 of your report, or 32, regarding the Kihiki Memorial Clock down. And I've actually today, this morning, Sally Sheedy, I've given her photos of it. It's whatever's happened to the clock or whatever they did there, that's good. But the creation of a flood zone inside that building is massive. There's photos included in that, but just for your information. And I think the civil defence room underneath it's going into there too. So I don't know what's happened with I thought this might have been Gower plumbing, but no, it wasn't. Roofing. So if there are no more questions, so David, you've got him.
Oh, yeah. So through the chair, so I assume this is fairly recent. I mean, I certainly haven't heard about it. I assume you haven't,
I
David?
was part of a meeting yesterday, and yeah, I took the photos. So in the top room, as you go up the steps, you just squash it all around it. So I don't know where it's coming from, but
Okay.
and
Right.
it didn't used to be as bad until whatever they did with the clock or whatever flashings or something split it up. But
Okay.
it's fixing because it's.
Yep. So yeah, no, we'll certainly look into that. The property team did organise the clock repair, obviously. So yeah, so we'll follow through in terms of whether that's triggered something or whether it might be just totally a totally random coincidence. I don't know, but yeah, we'll if there's water ingress into that building, we need to identify what's going on. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Lou,
You're through, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question today. There seems to be a significant amount of lease expiries. Does this come because of a date that we actually operated all these, or is this just something that's been accumulating for some time? It just seems to be a lot there at one time, and they involve a lot of our community groups, particularly around our Tiameta area. Just wondered how it came about.
Yeah. So look, so through the chair, I'll address that as well. Look, this is a bit of a catch-up exercise, to be fair, and in fact, it's for that very reason that we're reporting that in here, and it has actually featured in a number of past reports. So yeah, look, we are doing some tidy up in this area. There are some leases that have expired, and we need to make them current again. So we're working through a program. That's why they're coming through for signing. But it's not just all the expiries coinciding. There's a bit of cleanup at the same time.
no further questions? Well, I've got a recommendation that the Finance and Corporate Committee receives a report of David Varco, Manager Property and Services, titled Quarterly Property Services Report, in a lot of numbers, on the 1st of January this year to the 31st of March. Mover a second, Councillor Brown, Lou Brown, and Councillor Stallwood. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. Passed. Thank you, David. Very much. Right. This one. Now we need a resolution to exclude the public. I'll move from the chair. Councillor Gordon seconded. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried. Thank you.